Welcome to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. And I'm super excited to be here because it is, in fact, the second hour of the show. And I really have to tell you, time passes by so fast, don't you think? Because honestly, I didn't even feel this last hour passing, but it really did. And that brings the time to exactly, 7:16 a.m. So I really just have to say that time passed by really fast. All right. Now, I want to very quickly head into the conversation. But before we do that, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact be a part of this show. So text me on 078 Share your thoughts, share your opinions. Let me know what your thoughts are on this topic that we are talking about. All right. And something else that you can actually do is download our app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So you can listen in from either your iOS device or your Android device and basically listen to the conversation from wherever you are in the world. And that's absolutely amazing as well. So don't actually forget to do that. And obviously, don't forget to go follow us on our socials either, because we would absolutely appreciate it if you could be a part of this show, share your thoughts and share your opinions with us as well, because that would be absolutely amazing. All right. So don't forget to do that. Now, something else that you can do while you're a part of the show is letting me know what your thoughts and opinions are. So the number to text and call, you know that it's 07852473473. So don't be afraid to, text me and call me. All right. I'm not gonna bite you. Okay. So let's actually, and besides, I can't actually bite you even if I wanted to, which I don't, because COVID-19 is there and I don't really want to bite anyone. No, I'm not a vampire. But let's actually head into our conversation, because we're going to be talking about how these scam COVID tests are not a problem that we need right now. All right. Why exactly do you think that it's a problem that we don't need right now? Because come on, let's actually be honest. Because right now there are so many other problems that are happening here in the United Kingdom, right? We have a child abuse crisis, we have financial struggles, we have mental health struggles, there are people who are dealing with long COVID, and that's another problem altogether, right? And then we are also going through the whole Windrush deportation scandal, and that is causing a lot of chaos as well, because the British government or the Home Office or the Foreign Office has actually gone back on their word and said, you know what, it doesn't really matter what we said before, we're actually going to deport you, right? So as it is, there's already so many problems here in the United Kingdom, right? And the last thing we need is another problem. However, these scam COVID tests are basically causing that problem that we don't need. Okay, and the reason is because the government is actually coming under a lot of pressure to intervene amid these concerns that its COVID testing regime for travelers is actually very close to collapse. All right. And the reason they're actually saying this is because there are thousands of travelers who are actually failing to be properly tested on their return. All right. So, simply put, what is happening right now is that all of these travelers that are coming to the United Kingdom are failing to be tested. Now, if you remember, on the 4th of August, they actually lifted all of these travel restrictions that were there, right? Which meant that fully vaccinated travelers from the EU and the United States could actually come to the United Kingdom without having to isolate, right? However, there was also the given fact that they had to definitely get a negative PCR test before they landed, but also get a negative PCR test after they landed, right? So after they landed, they were supposed to conduct a test and make sure that it was negative. All right. And now, one thing that is for sure, one thing that is very definite is that the internet is a scary place. The internet spreads things so fast, and that is how, we have been made aware of this as well. Now, there were so many photos that were actually posted online that showed off all of the drop-off boxes that were run by Randox, right? And if you don't know what Randox is, it happens to be the United Kingdom's largest PCR testing provider, right? And all of these boxes were basically overflowing with swabs, unprocessed swabs, if I might add, and also growing numbers of actually returning holidaymakers that were reporting that their test kits were either failing to arrive or that their results were taking up to 6 days to process, right? Which means that it's actually a lot of money wasted and also a lot of time wasted as well, because these test kits are, quite expensive. And when they spend money and they come to the United Kingdom for a certain period of time, they can't really go out and about if they don't get their negative PCR results, right? And the fact of the matter is, if it takes 6 days to process, and say these people are just here on say a 3-week holiday, then they're actually missing out on a lot of things that they could do because of that, right? And the truth is, even before France came off the Amber Plus list on Sunday, private testing companies were in fact approved, the private testing companies that were approved by the government were in fact struggling to cope with the demand of these rising PCR tests that were requested by all of these travelers, right? And MPs and users have actually led a chorus of disapproval against the testing regime, which actually looks quite overwhelmed as more travelers start returning from August getaways. All right, so it's important to keep that in mind as well, right? And the Labour MP, Ben Bradshaw, actually said that he had been inundated with messages from people all over the United Kingdom whose test kits actually hadn't arrived on time, right? And he also started questioning the need for PCR tests on those who are fully vaccinated and returning from countries where COVID rates are actually much, much lower than the United Kingdom. And this is, in fact, countries from the green list. All right. So make sure that you stay tuned because we're going to head into a small break. And after that, we will be back to keep talking more about this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and I'm super, super excited to be here on this beautiful Friday morning, sharing the latest news of what is happening in the United Kingdom and all over the world as well. All right, so don't forget to actually be a part of the show, share your thoughts, share your opinions, because that will be absolutely amazing as well. Okay, so don't forget to be a part of the show. Now, however, before we head back into the conversation about how these scam COVID tests are in fact a problem we don't need right now, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, be a part of the show. All right. All you need to do is just text me on 078 share your thoughts, share your opinions. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how your day is going. But also, come talk to me and text me and tell me how you are feeling on this beautiful day. All right. But something else that you can actually do is let me know your thoughts on these scam COVID tests and how these COVID tests might not actually, the fact that they're not being done efficiently and how that's causing a whole a lot of other problems. All right, so go ahead, text me on 078 524 73473. You can follow us on our socials as well, and you can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel as well. And don't forget to download our app either, because that is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store as well. All right, and now let's actually head back into the conversation, because something else we need to talk about are all of these things that were posted online and why exactly this is a huge problem. All right, so we were talking about the scam COVID test. We were talking about how their results were taking about 6 days to come, and why exactly that is a big problem. Right now, like I said, Labour MP Ben Bradshaw actually, he questioned the need for PCR tests from people who are coming from countries that had lower COVID rates than the United Kingdom and were in fact fully vaccinated as well. And according to him, what he had to say was that it was completely unnecessary, right? He said that it's basically this complete scam and it's completely unacceptable as well. And the truth is, there has actually been growing anger about the government receiving millions of pounds from the regime, because the tests are subject to about 20% of VAT, right? VAT at 20% is what those tests are subjected to, and the government has been criticized, and they are, a lot of people are angry about the fact that the government is actually making money out of all of these COVID testing kits, right? Now, Martin Sumners, who actually happens to be the executive director of AITO, which happens to be, a specialist travel association, said that the government should actually be monitoring whether companies were fulfilling their purpose to the general public, or fulfilling their purpose for the general public, right? And obviously, he was referring to, the COVID testing that was taking place. He was trying to make sure that he was trying to make sure that they were actually testing all of it and not really just profiting off of it, because more often than not, that's what tends to happen, right? People just tend to profit off of it instead of actually testing all of these kids and making sure these people actually get their test results on time. All right, so this is in fact one of the biggest problems that the United Kingdom is also going through right now, and it's definitely a problem that can be solved, right? It's not impossible to be solved. We just need to make sure that there is a much more efficient process to actually deal with the backlog of COVID cases, or COVID tests rather, right? And he also said that people are abiding by the rules with no follow up, right? And the truth of the matter is, they're actually paying a lot of money for these tests and they're not getting results at all, right? What's the point of them abiding by the rules, making sure they do everything that they're supposed to do, but they're not even going to get followed up on the test results, right? And the truth of the matter is, I understand that we here in the United Kingdom are trying to boost our economy, and we're trying to make sure we get our economy back. However, that can't be at the cost of wasting other people's time and money, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a pandemic. Everyone is struggling, and maybe obviously these people aren't, that's why they are traveling. However, having said that, we still have a duty to make sure that they're not wasting their money unnecessarily, right? So that is important to keep in mind. So all travelers who are actually returning from green and amber list countries actually must take a test before they depart for the United Kingdom, and a further PCR test on their second day after arriving home. All right. Now, the truth of the matter is, PCR tests actually cost about £50 each, and even more than £50 each. All right. So households are actually paying as much as £200 for 2-day kits. All right. So that is in fact a lot of money. And the truth is, if you're going to be paying so much of money, then you're obviously going to expect results, and you're going to expect those results to be on time. You want it to be efficient, right? That's why you're paying so much of money. And if you're not getting those results, I mean, obviously it's disappointing, and you're going to be angry at them as well, right? And this is just how it is working right now. If we do not address this problem, then that could potentially mean that travelers will, the travelers that we're getting into the United Kingdom right now, that will actually reduce, right? Because if things aren't efficient and you're wasting a lot of money just to get your test results back, and even though you're following the rules and you're doing everything that is requested, or rather that is required for you to do, but you're not really getting any word on the things that you're doing, then it absolutely makes no sense as well, right? And something else that needs to be said is that those who have not been fully vaccinated must also those who are fully vaccinated must also actually make sure that they don't, or rather people who are fully vaccinated must also self isolate and take a test on day 8 if they have visited an amber list country. All right, so basically if you're fully vaccinated but you have visited an amber list country, then you're required to isolate, right? And these tests that they're currently paying for, they have to be booked with private firms that are listed on the government of the United Kingdom website. So they're paying a lot of money, they're putting a lot of effort into it. So why exactly are these people not getting their test results on time? All right, and that is the question for today. Now make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. So obviously, until then, make sure that you stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow.